No, not for this.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's deleted.
You get it out of lower again?
All right, I have 6 o'clock, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. This is the November 18th, 2021 special meeting of the Dayton Town Council. We'll take roll. Ashley?
Here.
Stan?
Here.
Ron?
Here.
Carla? And I am here, so all 5 members of the council are here. The only thing on the agenda tonight is Marshall Taylor has requested to do some work, like some outside work, like not as Marshall Taylor, like not for the town, for Dayton United Methodist Church. So this meeting is just to pretty much acknowledge that and approve that. We have checked with insurance, and as far as liability goes, he is covered through our insurance, the car's covered, and as I understand it, the church also has insurance that covers you. So, are there any questions or discussion before we vote?
Yeah, who's primary insurance?
To cover him, the church.
The church will be primary.
Correct.
Including the car.
Yes.
I don't know about the
Sure.
car. No.
So if the car gets damaged there, the town insurance will pay for it. And then our rates will go up.
Then I don't think we should do the car.
And that's the only concern I have.
I don't think it's any different than, you know, driving your car home or something like that, you know, the automobile carrier.
Well, I'm sure.
Insurance, to cover it. If somebody backs into the parking lot, you know, the insurance.
I thought that, when I asked the insurance lady, I thought she just said the church needed to be the primary cover of it. She really didn't indicate the car or not the car. I just presumed it would list you as working there and it'd cover everything. You know,
Well,
your shirt got ripped off or you got a broken arm.
They're not gonna cover a vehicle if they don't own it. That's a decision for us to
Well, it
make.
covers-
And as long as you authorize use of the vehicle, then it's covered under our policy.
Yeah. In my mind, with insurance, I just thought we were making sure he was covered. I never,
I think it's good, you know, that, you know, one way people recognize there's police in the town is obviously by the vehicle. And I think it's, good for a police vehicle to be seen, even if it is in the parking lot somewhere.
But he's not there representing the town, he's doing this on his own time, at their request, and getting paid for it, and so he's not representing Dayton in that capacity, so, I have concerns about the car being there just for that alone, but if it's not insured, which I understand what you're saying, and having the church cover it, but I don't know, it just raises some red flags for me. I'm not gonna necessarily say no, I'm just saying I have concerns that I think we need to consider.
So I think he's not doing the work for the town of Dayton, but I hope that Scott would think that every time he's in a uniform working in a police capacity, he's representing the town of Dayton. Whatever you do, whatever you say, however you act, will always reflect on the town of Dayton.
So you're wearing
So-
Dayton uniform?
But he's our town marshal, so he's doing police work, so it would reflect on us, like he would always reflect back on us.
Exactly.
We provide his training, so,
And it's in our town limits,
Mhm.
and as far as the automobile goes, I don't think it's any different than a police car sitting in front of the employee's house in an off-duty situation, I think kind of helps the neighborhood and
Right.
that sort of thing, so
right.
I don't have any problem with it.
Never bad things.
I don't have any problem with the car being there, I just wanted to make sure that, for some reason, that it was damaged or something, that, that it's not gonna end up somehow costing town more, because, typically that's what insurance does, you make a claim, they raise your rates. So I don't know if that would be, or take place or not, but.
So actually, on a question here is if I hire Scott to do security at the nursery, he can have the car at the nursery and it's insured by the town, right?
I think so, yes.
I wouldn't,
I know,
We're covered, the town covers the car, we are covered. I asked if we're covered, I just presumed the church would also cover, there'd be two, like they'd be the primary, we'd be the secondary.
I don't know if it would be a great idea for the town to say, yeah, you can do this, but we're not gonna let you use the car, just because you send an officer, this guy has a lot of stuff in his car, you can't just carry out in a backpack, and asking him to put that in his personal vehicle, and then something happening with his personal vehicle and the things inside it, I just don't know how all that would.
yeah, that's a good point, the computer and all that stuff may be needed.
Sure.
And,
Right.
having access to that stuff, I think that's a very valid point.
Yeah. Was there a comment?
Are you allowing public comment?
Yeah.
Cindy Marsh, 749 Shady Lane in Dayton. And just as far as the car goes, I think there would be so many factors if the car got damaged. Who damaged the car? Is their insurance going to cover it? I think the church's insurance would kick in if there was like a shootout and it got bullet holes in it or something, that it happened on church property. And I think that my opinion is he has to use the car if he's going over there, absolutely.
The sole purpose of the car is for visibility. I'm not, it's parked the whole time I'm there, I'm not patrolling with it, not taking any traffic enforcement activities with it. That was the sole purpose, is to provide a visibility, especially since I would not be in uniform. It's just an added layer of deterrence. That should something happen, people know that when they pull in the police, the lot, number one, they're probably gonna logically think that somebody's attending service, because it's not gonna be like parked in front of the front door, it's just gonna be a parking spot. And that was the whole plan for that, to have that type of impression, not to have, and they specifically didn't want a uniform presence because of the, a lot of people didn't like that idea. So that was kind of something that they decided when they approached me, that they felt the car would help be a good security deterrence and on the perimeter, on the outside.
Yeah.
So I'm, not using that or any equipment, so the risk of that being damaged or hurt is then more significant than, roof falls into the barn or
Right.
whatever.
But if you did need it, it would be there.
Yeah, if I needed it. And like any situation, there may be a time where I stop being their paid security guard and I start being the Dayton County Marshal because of something that's happened. At that point, I change hats, change roles.
Right.
Ideally, if it's minor enough, I can say that there's a fender bender in the parking lot, the county officer can cover it, take care of it, but just like anywhere else, there may be a time where I have to step in and declare myself as a police officer and take
Yeah.
the necessary action.
So what type of motion are you looking for?
I think just that the council is approving this outside employment.
The insurance company says that for us to have a rider and cover him, they'll cover it at no expense to the marshal or to the town, but they have to have in the minutes a motion showing that the town board is okay with him working privately. Okay, so that's why we're here.
So I make a motion to approve Marshall Taylor to work at Dayton United Methodist Church using the town car and equipment.
Yes, okay.
There's been a motion made by myself and seconded by Ashley. Before we vote, is there any further discussion from anyone? Ashley? Stan? Ron?
No, I think it's a good idea that we're helping the churches, the school and fire department in cases like this, where they need security.
Carla? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote. The motion was to approve Marshall Taylor working at Dayton United Methodist Church and using the town car and equipment. Ashley, how do you vote?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Ron?
Yes.
Carla?
Yes.
And I vote yes, so that passes 5-0. And that was the only thing on our agenda.
We have a little bit more.
Okay, just joking.
Sorry. We have another officer that works outside of employment as a Dayton officer. And we kind of need to, I guess this topic was brought up. My preference would be you guys would approve that same situation. Officer Jim Kanaki works for Purdue, works Purdue football games, as does many other officers around the state. He's done that for like 10 years. But in order to do that, he has to do that wearing a Dayton police uniform. He's been doing it for about 10 years. Some past officers and marshals have done it. But that's where he derives his police authority to do that. He's in a real low-key security role. I think he's doing traffic direction or something like that. He's done quite some time. I know that a lot of you weren't aware that that was taking place, so I wanted to make you aware and ask for your approval for that also.
Did they, did you find out if Purdue's covering?
He believes they are. I believe that they probably are being, that they're Purdue University, but he hasn't, his supervisors are supposed to be drafting something that they can provide me to show that they're covered under the same kind of liability and workers' comp that,
Well,
that
I think we ought to wait till we find out, because our insurance rep specifically said that you need to be covered, any private place you go to, and Purdue probably will cover them, but you need to be sure they're covered first, and then we have to let the insurance company know also. So,
We could have a motion worded such that as long as,
well, I
The
think we
event
need
is
to talk
provided
about it.
with
I think we
insurance.
need to wait and see how much coverage they got. I mean, like, the church, you ever find out, is that a $500,000 liability, or
no, I don't know.
10,000? It makes a difference, you know, so.
Is there, because I imagine there's Purdue games between now and our December meeting. So I think what Ashley was saying, like, make a motion to like approve it if he provides proof that Purdue's covering him for whatever
that's a
appropriate.
primary,
Well, I didn't think we were deciding on that tonight. There's some other questions I'd like to ask, but not right now. You know, we came here to do Scott at the church, I thought, not Exploration Acres, not Purdue, not this, not that. You start getting, the insurance company was really concerned about working at these other places outside the town of Dayton. It's one thing inside the town of Dayton, it's a different thing outside. Now, we can get all the information, have another quick meeting, but I don't think we have all the information.
I agree that we need to wait. You said he thinks he's covered. Well, that's not, no.
And I thought that sometime we were going to discuss a policy on our police officers working other places, because we're finding out now that it's Purdue, it's Exploration Acres, it's maybe the different places. So we sort of need to know what we want to do here, I would think, you
It
know.
would just be you and Jim, right? Everybody else?
We're the
Would
only
not.
two that it applies to.
Yeah. I mean, everybody else might do
Everybody
other
else is
jobs,
different.
but they'd be wearing their,
They're full-time officers with their respective departments. He's the only one besides me.
I'm of the opinion we need more information. I don't feel comfortable doing that. I didn't know it was going to be on the table tonight.
So are you under the impression, or, if I understand what you're saying, I need to tell Jim he's not authorized to work until that proof is given, and we hold a meeting to discuss it.
evidently he is not approved by this board to do that.
You need to find what insurance is covering.
I'm assuming that 20 years ago, when this practice started, that marshal and that council at that time did their due diligence. Couldn't we assume that that's taken place until we find different?
And if something happens in the lot,
Well, we've already found out that we're covered, so as long as you authorize it, then
well, you're covered as secondary to their primary. Correct?
Well, all our officers are listed the same in our insurance policy.
I thought she told me that they can add on our officers in this town doing work. If it goes out of town, it's a whole new system. That either, if they're not covered at Purdue or someplace else, then you have to have a rider and a separate policy on here to specifically insure. Okay, that's, so didn't think about it anymore, didn't know what on. But that, so the first step was, you know, Scott was gonna find out if they are covered and what they're, and they might very well be covered, and then we go back to our insurance company and tell them, is this satisfactory? you know, and then they say, okay, either vote on it or show us a policy or whatever needs to be done, and then we okay it. Yeah, but
Do you know when the next game is that he's planning to run?
But she was concerned about, you don't just willy-nilly presume that 20, 30 years ago, the old boards, we did a lot, there's a lot of stuff done that I think was done that somebody asked, no, yeah, that's okay, and just did it. I think insurance is real critical. You're not covered, and some 1 in a million chance comes up, you're stuck. You know, it's okay, and probably it's covered, but with insurance, you can't really take a chance. So, I mean, it's just a matter of finding, we ought to be able to find out within a few days.
We need a definite answer before we approve it.
From our insurance and Purdue.
Yes.
Purdue first, and then our insurance. Then I think our insurance will say it's okay, but it might have to be a separate policy that we or Jim or somebody pays for, if Purdue isn't being the primary person. Okay? So that's what we need to find out first, and then.
I mean, the deal with the Dayton uniform is the killer. I mean, if he's got a Dayton uniform on, he's representing Dayton.
So it's just a matter of another week, probably.
Well, we'll wait to hear from Purdue and find out from our insurance, and then we'll hold another meeting to handle that then, I guess. Was there anything else? Was that it, Scott? Okay, having no other business, this meeting is adjourned.